Well, as Congress convenes today to certify President-elect Trump's election win, we're getting some new details surrounding his hush money conviction sentencing. Trump's legal team is asking to delay that sentencing, which the judge scheduled for this Friday, after rejecting his team's attempts to toss his conviction. Joining us now, CNN senior legal analyst and former federal prosecutor Ali Honig. So here you go. Trump asking the judge to postpone his sentencing, which is currently, as I noted, scheduled to happen on Friday. It could have happened by Zoom. What's Trump's legal argument here for the postponement, Ali?
Yeah, Pam, I had a feeling he was going to try to delay this, and sure enough, he has. So Trump is arguing immunity on two different levels relating to the hush money case. First, he's arguing that some of the evidence that was admitted against him at the hush money trial related to the time he was president. Therefore, he should have been immune for that. Therefore, he's entitled to a new trial. Second of all, Trump is arguing, now that I'm president-elect, I'm immune from any criminal proceedings. Now, Judge Merchan has already rejected both of those immunity arguments, but what Trump says in the brief that he just filed a few minutes ago is, I'm allowed to appeal that rejection by Judge Merchan, and while I'm doing that appeal, everything else has to be stayed. Everything else has to be put on hold. So Trump's argument essentially is, while I appeal the immunity issue, everything has to be put on hold, including the sentencing that's set for this Friday.
So what's the argument that the sentencing should proceed?
I think the argument that you'll see in response from the DA and maybe from the judge is you might have been entitled to a stay to put a hold on the trial itself, but the trial itself is already over. All we have left here is sentencing, and there's no harm, I think the argument would be, in going ahead with this sentencing, which will probably take a few minutes by Zoom on Friday, and then you, Donald Trump, can have your appeal. So it's really sort of a practical consideration of those procedural questions. What needs to come first, the sentencing or the appeal?
And again, just for our viewers, because you hear sentencing and typically you associate that with, time behind bars. This isn't about that, right? It's basically about whether he's going to be a convicted felon and whether that's on his record or not, right?
The judge has made as clear as possible in the ruling that he issued on Friday night that A, he intends to sentence Donald Trump to what we call an unconditional discharge, meaning no prison time, no probation, no fine, no community service, no nothing. And B, that in order to accommodate Donald Trump's status as president-elect, he's willing to hold the proceeding by Zoom, which is very unusual. So yeah, that's all that's at stake with this sentencing coming up on Friday. But as you know, Pam, that would make the conviction formal. A document, a piece of paper called a judgment of conviction would issue upon sentencing. So that would formalize Donald Trump's status as a convicted felon.
It's always so interesting to me, too, the dynamic. Like, Trump trashed the Judge Merchan, on Friday after this came out, and now he's like going back to the judge, and say, will you please deny this, postpone this sentencing,
Yeah.
What happens next if the judge denies Trump's request here? Is it just going to go on Friday?
Definitely very unusual to see a defendant who could be days away from sentencing publicly trashing the judge who was about to impose that sentence.
Right.
Now, if Judge Merchan says to Donald Trump's new request today, sorry, denied, we are moving forward with this sentencing as scheduled on Friday, then look for Donald Trump's team to take it to the next level. I think they're going to go to the appeals court and saying, okay, appeals court, you have to now put on pause everything happening with Judge Merchan, because again, I'm entitled to have everything stayed, everything put on hold while I appeal the immunity decision. So we're going to see a back and forth happening between Donald Trump and the DA and Judge Merchan and maybe the New York appeals courts starting hours from now, and I think continuing right up until the moment of sentencing on Friday, if the sentencing does in fact go off as planned.
All right, Ali Honig, thanks so much. Good to see you.
Thanks, man.